Of course, you can create text directly in After Effects, but did you know that you can also import text from a Photoshop file and convert it to editable text in After Effects? In this project, we're going to see exactly how to do that. Now, I have emptyproject.aep open, and if you want to follow along, you can open that from the Animating Text Layers folder. And what we're going to do is move over to the project panel, and to import a file, we can just double click on this empty space in the project panel, and that will open up my import file dialog box, which gives me access to the files either in the Mac Finder or the Windows Explorer. So what I want you to do is navigate to the Images folder, which is inside the Footage folder, and open up drinkdrinkdrink.psd. If you double click it, you will have options about whether to bring it in as a composition or footage. I want you to choose Composition, Retain Layer Sizes. And we're going to leave editable layer styles switched on, because we may use those layer styles later. So let's click on OK. And of course, it creates a composition and a folder with all the layers inside it. So all we need to do is double click the composition to open it up. And of course, if we ran preview that, because it's a Photoshop file, there's nothing actually happening at the moment. We have static layers. Down in the timeline, if you want to have a look at the layers, you can solo them one by one, just to see how each layer affects our final composition. And you'll notice that this is my text layer here. So once we've identified that, we can turn off the solo buttons just by clicking and dragging across them. And I'm just going to take a minute to label my layer. So select the layer and go to Edit, Label, Red. And that makes it easy for me to quickly identify which layer I'm working with. It can sometimes get confusing. Now, the next thing we're going to do is convert this to editable text. And we do that by going to Layer, Convert to Editable Text. Now you'll notice that the Bell Gothic font was used to create this design, and if you don't have that installed on your system, you'll probably come up with this error message telling you that that font is missing. If you don't get the error message, that's fine, you can use the Bell Gothic font, but I want to show you what will happen if we decide to click OK. If we decide to click OK, it's telling me it should be using the Bell Gothic standard font, but if we double click it to edit it, we can't get access to that, so it's defaulting to the standard font, which on this system is Helvetica. So we will need to change that. Now, as soon as we change it, it will lose the link to Bell Gothic. So if you want to leave the link as it is, you can just leave that text layer and maybe duplicate it. So go to Edit, Duplicate. Switch off this one at the bottom, and then we can continue to edit this one. Now, the nice thing about that is we'll still keep the reference to the original font. So what we're going to do is select this one and go up to the top and choose Arial Black. And that's a font that we should have on both Mac and Windows. I'm also going to reduce the size. So let's just bring that down by clicking in the font size field and then using the up and down arrow keys just to bring it into a safe zone. Now you can also edit the text itself, so if I double click on the text in the center here and just update that, I can type in the word edit. So we now have drink, edit, drink. And of course you can change any of the properties for the text. We also have access to text animators, which we'll be having a look at a little later. Now, we can also rename these. If we're keeping this one, you'll notice now if I select this one, it defaults to Arial Black now. So this is changed and will always be Arial Black. If I switch that off and switch this one on and select it, it's keeping that reference to the original font. So what I could do is just rename this layer. So select it, hit return, and say original font. And now I have a reference to what the original font in the design was working with. And we'll select this one, hit return, and put in substitute font. Okay, and that way we know by looking at this one what the original font in the design was, but we can continue working on this one without losing that link to the original font. So I'm going to double click it, re-edit that to say drink again. Now you'll notice it's typed it in lowercase, and that's because I didn't have caps lock on. So if I want to force it to capitals, I can select that and just extend my paragraph panel a little bit and choose all caps. And we now have all caps throughout. So that's a little bit about how you can import text from Photoshop and continue to edit it in After Effects.